Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel Trading Secrets. This channel is for entertainment purposes only. For those of you who do not know, my name is Ali. I have over 20 years experience teaching accounting, economics, business and law through this channel. I'll be providing some stock analysis and a quick update on the $1 Million Challenge. So if anybody's not aware of this, this is a journey of investment of $1,000 to a return of $1 million over a period of 3 years using a strategy called compound return investing. So the objective is try to get 201 trades, each with an average return of 3.5%. It's not 201 consecutive trades, we do take into account losses. So for further details about how to join us for less than $9 a month, information is available in the description below. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you details of the Exxon and Pioneer $60 billion deal and what it means for the Pioneer shareholders. And then we're going to go into do a comparison with NextBridge Hydrocarbons and our oil and gas assets. And there has been evidence in terms of a video that was shared recently showing some drilling taking place. And also in the previous video, we also covered evidence of more permits being given for drilling. So the company are making good progress on the drilling. And what we're also going to look at in today's video is a potential calculation for an estimated share value price if assets are sold, or should we say once assets are sold. So stay tuned for that. We're also going to be looking at OPGN, and before we get started, let's have a look at what's happening in the market. So first headline here from CNBC: the stock market sell-off intensifies with the Dow Jones losing 300 points. So the key reason for this, we can see, is news in terms of US inflation. So obviously we know the markets are down, and obviously the S&P 500 was down approximately 1% at time of editing, and this was because I think inflation came out just a little bit higher than expected, and the concern is about future and impending increases in interest rates. So let's move on, and let's have a look at a post I shared earlier with regard to the SEC. So tagging in Gary Gensler, who posted earlier today, and Gary stated on October the 25th he's going to be joining the SEC Securities Enforcement Forum along with the other SEC Gov staff. So on the calendar here it states that Gary Gensler is also going to be meeting with the director Gerber Grewal. So I'm not sure if Gary is aware, but Gerber Grewal has recently been accused of corruption. So I've reminded Gary of this, and I've stated in my post that this meeting that you are attending, Gary, is stating that you will be meeting with Gerber Grewal. And I'm assuming he's one of your best buddies, but did you know that he has been caught with his pants down in terms of an investigation with allegations of corruption? So these are the possibilities. Are you either telling me that the SEC has either forgotten to update their website, or basically allegedly in terms of it was a simple mistake, and or do you believe that you care too much about Gerber in terms of you didn't want to remove him, or was there a coding error? We don't know. But one thing you can be sure about is that the MMTLP community will not be going away. And a quick recap of the previous video, we looked at tick symbol TPST, and in the previous video you'll see that this was up close to 4,000% at one point, and it was a price well in excess of $9. There has been a significant pullback today, and I think it's trading around about the $4 mark. So again, strong indications there. It's always good to trade with care and protect your profits. So we will be having a look at OPGN later on in the video, so stay tuned for that. So before we look at the Exxon deal, I'm going to give a shout out here to Sensei, who's posted with regard to the Freedom of Information Act FOIA release that we received, and he's on a hunt, and he is on a hunt for a name. So what he stated here is basically he's going to need the MMTLP community's help. We have a partial unredacted email that only shows in a small batch of FOIA emails, not sure why, and he needs help in finding out who this is. So the last 4 letters of the email address of this person at the SEC are CHRI, and he also counts 30 to 31 characters just before the CRI. So what he's asking here in terms of the community is obviously see if we can find evidence of who this person may be, and that certainly could be useful further down the line. So if anybody is aware or can help would be great to get in touch. So let's move on to have a look at the Exxon deal. So headline here from Reuters, we can see here Exxon secures lead in top US oil field with $60 billion buy of shale rival Pioneer. So this was the news. So let's have a look at the finer details of it. So the valuation was close to $60 billion, and it's making it the biggest producer in the largest US oil field and securing them a decade of low cost production. So in terms of the calculation per share, the deal is valuing approximately $253 a share, combining the largest US oil company with one of the most successful names to emerge from the shale revolution that has turned the US into the world's largest oil producer in little more than a decade. So what we can also see in terms of the deal, the Exxon chief executive has stated that this is a big opportunity for them. They have closed the deal fairly quickly, and after approaching the CEO of Pioneer, Scott Sheffield, so 2 weeks ago. So the merged company is going to add 700,000 barrels per day of new oil and gas within 4 years of the deal closing, raising output to 2 million BOEPD, and they're also aiming to cut greenhouse gas emissions. So they're also complying with that. Well, let's have a look at what it means for Pioneer, and we can see the offer represents a 9% premium on the Pioneer's average price over the last previous 30 days to October the 5th. In terms of when the deal surfaced, the shares were up approximately $240 at time of this article, and Exxon shares were down approximately 3.6% yesterday. So this is good news for obviously both companies, but what we're more interested in, what this potentially means for MMTLP and how a similar calculation for us could mean for our share price. So I'm going to start by giving a shout out to Copy and Paste, who's posted with regard to this deal, and he stated here the $58 billion Exxon Pioneer deal divided by $250 per share equates to approximately 232 million shares. So with regard to the MMTLP comparison, we have approximately 250 million shares. So not too much of a difference there in the grand scheme of things. But one thing that we do need to take note of is in the second post here, Pioneer is significantly more developed company. So yes, a good point there. We may potentially have more assets in the ground in terms of the total amount of oil, but we are obviously not in full production. So their assets are proven, ours are not fully proven. I do think we have significant evidence of oil and gas, but in terms of the exact quantities, I think the company are probably keeping that more close to themselves. But yeah, good point there. And the other thing that we're going to now look at is another comparison of what this may mean from the point of view of AK Dallas. So before we look at the next calculations, shout out here to Mike James, who's posted with regard to the assets at Nexbridge Hydrocarbon and stated here, we are drilling, it's smell like roofing tar in the air. So let's I'm going to now share with you the video that he posted on this post earlier yesterday.
After work, looks like there's our rig. You see it? Looks like we're drilling. See if I can pull over here. Sorry, there's lots of traffic actually. Late night. There's our rig, everyone. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Look at this. I smell money. I smell oil.
Let's now have a look at the next comparison. So before we look at the figures, let's have a look at what AK Dallas has posted in terms of the comparison. So we know Exxon and Pioneer deal is worth approximately $60 billion. In terms of the total amount of oil that the company have, this is approximately 2.2 billion barrels of oil or equivalent, and it equates to approximately $27 per barrel. So they do have overall less oil if we compare that with 3.2 billion barrels estimated for Nexbridge Hydrocarbons, but they are much further down the line in terms of drilling and production. So the $27 that they are receiving, we will get much less than that. So let's continue with the calculation. So in terms of the number of shares that Nextbridge Hydrocarbons has, we're looking at approximately 250 million. Obviously we also have working interest to take into account, and in terms of the next post here, we can see with regard to Pioneer, that's spread over multiple properties. MMTLP is concentrated around about 133,000 acres. We have more oil, so I do agree with that. I know the critics will say we don't have more oil, but we also have access to significant water. That is correct, and I've covered that in one of the previous videos. The MMTLP presentation stated approximately 3.5 or 3.2 billion barrels of oil. There was also a significant amount of natural gas. We're talking approximately 6,000 trillion cubic feet, and obviously that has to be calculated in any estimate as well. So Pioneers has current running wells, so they get a premium for that, whereas MMTLP has the gas as addition, but for the oil we're probably going to get less of a value. So he also goes on to say that previously we thought it was equivalent to between maybe $5 to $10 per barrel of oil, but now he's estimating it could be between $10 and $15, and that could be doable based on this Exxon deal. So obviously Exxon is $27, so we're looking at between $10 and $15 for Nextbridge Hydrocarbons, and obviously this is in the same area that Exxon is working in and looking at. So obviously we've got the issue right now in terms of FINRA and the SEC. So at the bottom there, he's also stated the Pioneer deal announced. We're looking at approximately, obviously we know our closing price was $2.90 per share, but that is in no way a reflection of where we are. So let's have a look at the figures. So on the screen here, you can see on the left hand side what AK Dallas has stated is the billion barrels of oil are equivalent, starting from 3 billion barrels all the way down to let's say 7 billion. So if we just concentrate on the 3 billion to be conservative, and then obviously the previous estimates, if we look at the lowest estimate, which is $10 per share, then that would give the shareholders $119.44 for every single MMTLP share or Nextbridge Hydrocarbon share that you hold. So that's the lowest and the most conservative estimate, and remember this calculation is excluding gas. And if we go into a little bit higher, where he's now obviously saying he believes it could be between $10 and $15, so we're going to look at the median of that, approximately $13, and that would equate to around about $155 per share. But now if we have a look at the most optimistic, which is $20, that would equate to $239 per share. And just for entertainment purposes, right at the bottom, let's have a look at what it would mean if the company had proof or evidence of approximately 7 billion barrels of oil, and that is what was a possibility according to the presentation. And if we base that on $10 per share, $10 per obviously barrel of oil, then we're looking at $278.70 per share for Nextbridge Hydrocarbons. If we get $20, then we're looking at $557 per share. So I'm sure most people would be happy for that in terms of the valuation of the assets and in terms of everything else that has gone on. And I think if this does play out, this certainly does not rule future litigation, allegations and future class actions. So obviously all options, I believe, will be open. And finally, we're going to have a look at ticker symbol OPGN, also known as OPGN Incorporated. So this was shared exclusively in the Discord yesterday in the post-market when it was trading around about 34 cents, but was also going up quite significantly in the post-market. So again, in the pre-market today, we also added it onto our stock alerts, as well as a number of other stocks. So let's have a look at what's happened with regard to OPGN. So in terms of the news here, we can see obviously the stock at one time was up in excess of $500 340%. So the question is why, but we can see here the stock is rallying alongside an update with regards to a sale agreement. The stock company has also signed a preferred stock purchase agreement, and that has increased quite significantly the trading volume. So let's have a look at what's happened in terms of Thursday. Significant rally. The company have received advance payment of 750,000 euros for the sale of one of their aspects of the business to a strategic partner. The company is also working with this sale to complete it, so that's obviously part of what's happened. So in terms of the preferred stock purchase agreement, we're looking at the company has agreed with a certain investor for them to acquire 1,000 shares priced at $1,000 each. So that's going to give the company proceeds of $1 million. So it's a small float, low float company, but obviously this is a great, huge investment for them. But let's have a look at the chart for today. Look at the 1 day chart. We can see here at one point it was up very, very close to $4, and it has closed down around about 92 cents, still up in excess of 173% on the day, and at one point it was up in excess of 400% on the day. So always good to take profits. So if you would like to get a copy of our daily stock alerts as well as our weekly watch list, where we have called out stocks such as TPST and OPGN here, you can join us. Details are in the description below. Thank you very much for watching. Please stay tuned.